Let's jump right in. Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're taking a look at something kind of surprising. We're going to deconstruct the classic children's rhyme, Ek Mota Hathi, or One Fat Elephant. Now, on the surface, it's just a fun little song, right? But looking closer, there's actually a completely brilliant framework here about collective problem solving, vulnerability, and community.
Here's our logical roadmap for this explainer. 1. Beginning of the story. 2. Escalating troubles. 3. The call for help. 4. Unexpected resolution. And finally, 5. Joy and celebration.
All right, Section 1, beginning of the story, establishing the baseline conflict. So the whole thing starts off super simple with just a single subject. One fat elephant out for a leisurely stroll. Literally zero conflict at this stage. It's just a solitary guy navigating his environment.
But then, bam, the baseline conflict hits. This peaceful walk comes to a screeching halt when the elephant stumbles into a goat's net. He's trapped. But here's the real kicker. It's not just about the physical trap, it's the emotional reaction. The source material tells us point blank that he is overcome with fear. This sets up our main pattern for the whole story. Physical entrapment leading straight to emotional distress.
Okay, moving right along to Section 2, escalating troubles, compounding the conflict. If you think about this sequence, there's actually a really precise correlation between the growing number of elephants and how crazy these traps get. Just think about this progression of obstacles. We start with a simple goat's net, right? Then it escalates to a deep river, a literal hunter's cage, a massive pit of mud, and finally, a spider's web. It goes from domestic to natural to human-made threats. It's just a perfectly structured escalation. Tracking this chronologically, it's pretty wild to see the stakes rise step by step over time. I mean, every single verse throws a totally new, totally different environment at our protagonists. It builds this steady upward staircase of trapped pachyderms.
And you know what's funny? The group gets bigger and heavier, but adding all that mass doesn't make them immune to trouble. Actually, scratch that. Their massive size makes them even more susceptible to getting stuck in the environment around them.
Which brings us to Section 3, the call for help, the mechanics of solidarity.
Now here is the absolutely crucial repeating motif, the phrase idara, 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 which means come here, come here, come here. Every single time an elephant gets trapped and terrified, they don't just sit there and suffer in silence, and they definitely don't let their egos get in the way. They immediately gesture for help. It is a flawless little system of communication and mutual aid.
And the best part? That call is answered instantly. The first elephant's distress signal brings in a friend, doubling the group and taking our total to 2 fat elephants.
But think back to that escalating timeline. Now 2 of them are walking and they fall into a deep river. That's a terrifying water hazard. They feel that exact same baseline fear, but their gut instinct is collective problem solving. No solo panic attacks here. They signal for a third. They completely trust the system. So now the compounding weight of our rescue team hits 3. The group is growing, but unfortunately, so is the target on their backs. And this is where the danger really peaks. They get stuck in a literal hunter's cage, a highly dangerous, human-made trap. But they stick to their mechanics of solidarity. Staring down a hunter, absolutely terrified, they earnestly call out to the 4th elephant to come join them and help tip the scales.
Because the call for help is literally always answered in this narrative universe, we now have a massive, unified group of 4 fat elephants. They are basically walking powerhouse at this point. Yet somehow, gravity and nature still manage to win. They all fall into the mud together. But even as this massive, muddy mess, they keep the exact same pattern going. The environment degrades, they get stuck, the fear kicks in, and they desperately call out for the 5th and final friend to pull them out of the mire. The narrative escalation finally maxes out here at 5 fat elephants. The whole squad is assembled. They've survived nets, rivers, cages, and mud, and they are finally heading home together right before hitting their final and honestly most fascinating obstacle. Let's look at Section 4, unexpected resolution, the ironic reversal. You've got to appreciate the incredible contrast of this climax. On one side of our equation, you have the absolute massive accumulated weight of 5 fat, terrified elephants all stuck in a spider's web. And on the other side, a single tiny spider. And guess what?
she's not scared at all. She looks at these giants intruding on her web and just laughs.
It is a textbook ironic resolution. The whole time, these massive elephants relied on adding more mass, more elephants to solve their problems. But at the very end, it's the smallest creature in the ecosystem who holds all the power. The spider, who is just super amused by the whole situation, graciously removes her web and sets them all free. Salvation literally comes from the most microscopic, unexpected source.
And finally, Section 5, Joy and Celebration, the Aftermath. That solidarity that kept them calling for help through every single trap, the net, the river, the cage, the mud, it now transforms into pure collective celebration. The source material actually lists out their synchronized actions. They're all jumping, dancing, and playing together. They went through the trauma as a group, so it makes total sense they get to experience the relief and the joy as a group too.
The original creators, Zappy Tunes, even wrap up this whole joyous finale with a super friendly, polite call to action. They gently sign off by inviting their friends to subscribe for more stories, which honestly perfectly matches the welcoming, communal vibe of the rhyme itself.
So, to wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with something to chew on. When we look at the wild journey of these 5 elephants, we have to ask ourselves, does true strength actually lie in our massive size, or is it really about our willingness to call out for help when we're stuck? It's kind of amazing what a simple story can teach us about collective problem solving, admitting when we're vulnerable, and finding salvation in the most unexpected places. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and always keep an eye out for those deep lessons hiding in plain sight.